Hi everyone! Today's video is my favorites for the month of February, and we're going to kick it off by talking about a product that I have mentioned before, but it's been a while and I need to reiterate just how much I love this thing. Oh, it's a perfume. It's Molecule 1, which is by Eccentric Molecules. They are out of England, and I picked this up when I was on vacation in England last May. Now, I've mentioned the story behind this perfume before, but I'm going to reiterate it because it's such a sweet personal memory for me, and that is that when I was in London, I was going to ebates, and one of my subscribers had just recently moved into the area. Her name is Dominica, and I do consider her a friend now, and we agreed to meet up after ebates. And I was excited to meet her, and she was great, she's lovely, she's beautiful and stunning, and she smelled incredible. Like, to the point where it's like, I have to ask her what she is wearing because I just want to devour her. She smelled so freaking good. So she told me it was a Molecule 1, and literally the next day, I think it was in London, I went out and bought the perfume because it was just so intoxicating on her. Now, this perfume is supposed to react differently on every person that wears it, which is true of most perfumes, but there's some kind of like witchcraft that they're trying to like build into this one. They say that you can't smell it on yourself, which is total horseshit as far as I'm concerned, because I can definitely smell this on me. And it is just a clean, slightly aquatic to me, although I know most people don't smell an aquatic scent on this. Aquatic and woodsy, and I would say it's relatively asexual. I think a man or a woman could wear this, but I am so intoxicated by the scent of this perfume. It is just wonderful. And I recently started wearing it again because I finally finished up a perfume that I've been wanting to finish for quite some time now. It was the La Vanilla Grapefruit perfume, and I thought I was going to finish that thing within like a few weeks or maybe a few months of starting to wear it, but I've been wearing it almost daily since I think September, and I've only just finished it up, I think it was in January. So I've gone back to wearing this. I've made a decent dent in this thing, having not used it regularly for the last year. But if I had to pick a me scent now, it's this one. And I realized, Dominica, this was your scent, but now it's mine too. And I find this so intoxicating. That is the best word for it. It is just intoxicatingly good. So Molecule 1, phenomenal perfume. You can buy it easily in England, to my knowledge. There are a few places in Toronto that I've managed to hunt down where I could purchase it should I run out, because I don't ever want to be out of this perfume. It is wonderful. Okay, next up is a palette that has definitely gone unloved for quite a while. That is the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette. And I don't know what it was about February, but I found myself gravitating towards neutrals again, which is kind of interesting. I don't always love getting into kind of a neutral rut or a streak at times, because it can make me feel depressed is not the right word exactly, but it can leave me feeling a little bit deflated over time if I wear too many neutrals. This is just how I feel because I really like color. But for whatever reason in February, I was really drawn to wearing neutrals, and I was reaching for the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette a lot, which was nice to sort of like fall back in love with a palette again, because I mean, this is not something I gravitate towards very often. I've said this before, but like, while I love a lot of Too Faced products, I don't love their pink aesthetic. I don't like the hearts and all that kind of stuff. That turns me off, but it was nice to go back to using a chocolate bar regularly again. The shades I love the most in here are definitely Cafe au Lait, which is kind of, it's like a taupe, but it's got a little bit more of a silver edge to it, which is why I like it. I love the matte shades in here, Almond Truffle, Cashew, Chew, Mocha, and I found myself gravitating towards Malted a lot more this time, which is not very typical for me. In previous times that I've gravitated towards this palette, I've definitely gone more towards Bordeaux, which is a bit of a deeper brown with a red tinge to it. But yeah, this was a palette that I felt comfortable using again, and maybe that sounds a little bit silly, but it had definitely been probably a few years since I had reached for this, and I just did a few looks and I was like, wow, you just look nice, you just look pretty. And while I love color and wearing a lot of it, there is something to be said about how flattering neutrals can be. I don't wear makeup to look good or to look attractive or whatever. Like, that's not what makeup is for me. Makeup for me is just for fun and to play with, which is why I tend to wear a lot of bright colors. But sometimes when I wear neutrals, I'm like, oh, that's really flattering on you. So that's what I felt about this palette this past month. I used it quite a few times and was just happy to be using it. Now I know it's been discontinued. Like a lot of Too Faced products lately, I feel like a lot of their palettes are disappearing off the market. I think you can still buy this one on Too Faced's own website, but I'm pretty sure it's no longer at Sephora or Ulta. So if you did want to get your hands on it, you'd have to order directly from them. Oh, next is another Too Faced product. This was not intentional. Funny how this worked out. The Peach Perfect Foundation. I love this thing. I have been trying to get through a few foundations in my project pan, and I had thought that the Revlon Full Cover Foundation was the right color for me right now, but it's not. I had found that I had a little bit of like marbling down my neck where I was like stippling it with the beauty blender to like blend it into my neck, and I was like, it does not match. You need to stop wearing it until you deepen up in tone from like the summer when I'll be outside running and playing soccer. So I reached for probably one of my palest foundations, which does match me. I am wearing it right now, and every time I go back to this, I'm just so pleased with it. It's called a Comfort Matte Foundation, and that's exactly how I would describe it. It is matte, but it doesn't feel tight on my face. It doesn't feel itchy. It doesn't feel uncomfortable, which is good for me because I don't generally love the way foundation feels on my face. So if a foundation actually feels somewhat comfortable, I'm very, very pleased. So this one is the shade Snow. I've gone through this actually a significant amount. I'm surprised because this is a rather large tube. I think there's 1.6 fluid ounces. One of the most important factors about this foundation for me is the fact that it doesn't move around and is transfer proof. I mean, if you get your face soaking wet and you rub on something, sure, it might transfer at that point, but for the most part, it is relatively contact proof. And since I have just gone through hating my life using that Bite foundation that would just slide all over the place, get on everything, it got on my phone, it got on my nails, I was so unhappy with that foundation that to switch back to using this one just makes me love this one all the more. It is just really, really good. And it's been a long time since I've used this because the color is quite pale. It's really only a winter foundation for me. So the last time I used this was probably last February. So I've been really enjoying it this month. It's a shame that I have to put the foundation that I was using for the Project Pan on hold for a few months, but I'm happy to be using this one again. And like I said, I've gone through this quite a bit. There is a ton left, but comparatively to a full tube, there's not that much. So yeah, Too Faced Peach Perfect Foundation. Love this thing. It's old news at this point. No one talks about this anymore because the launch was years ago at this point, but this is really wonderful. Okay, some nail polishes that I've been enjoying are by OPI. I feel like that's all I really talk about for nail polish now, but OPI makes fantastic nail polish. So they recently launched their Mexico City collection, which I did receive from the brand. So I have all 12 shades. I've swatched them out on my nails. I can link to that blog post down below in case you want to see all of the colors. So Hue is the artist, is the one that is on my nails right now. And it is an incredibly pale lavender color. I would say that most people would actually probably look at this and say that it's white, but there is a very faint tinge of purple to it. But I like that aspect because I feel like sometimes if I put a true white on my nails, it can look good, but sometimes it can look a little bit strange over time, particularly as the nail polish sort of ages on my nails throughout, like, let's say a week of wear. If you wear white nail polish, you might know what I'm talking about. You sort of get like a little bit of almost a yellowing to the color by, like, let's say day 7 or day 8. With this sort of purple tinge to it. I've been wearing this polish for, I think it's 6 days now, and I don't see any of that sort of yellowing color that I've seen before with other white polishes. I mean, again, this is not a true white, but I think that purple tinge is what is sort of removing that slight yellowing that has occurred to me before. So I really think this is flattering on the nails just because it has that sort of like extra tinge to it. But to me, I basically look at my nails and I think that they're white. So I've really been enjoying Hue is the artist. And then the other one that's been a lot of fun to wear is Don't Tell a Soul, which is this beautiful yellow color. Yellows can be really hit or miss with brands. I don't feel like I've ever found a decent opaque yellow. I have gotten full opacity with 2 coats on this before, but the last time I wore it, which was prior to wearing this shade on my nails, I think I had to apply 3 coats, which is fine by me. 2 to 3 coats is perfectly fine when I'm doing my nails. But the color saturation on this is so pretty. You don't really get that horrible translucency that I've seen with a lot of yellow polishes. I mean, maybe you think that that is kind of a silly thing to say when I'm saying that sometimes you need 3 coats on it, but if you've used a bad yellow polish, you know what I'm talking about. They basically go on like a jelly. You can see your nail bed through it. It's just not appealing. I don't experience that with this color, so I'm really happy to have found like a bright sunshine yellow color. I figure I'm gonna be wearing this a lot throughout the summer just because prior to this, I just never had a decent yellow, and I'm really liking the shade on this. Okay, so that is it for my favorites for the month of February. There was way more in here to talk about than I thought there would be. I thought this was a bit of a dead month, to be honest, because I used a lot of other stuff that I was trialing out for videos, namely eyeshadow palettes. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. Maybe tell me about a product that you love tremendously throughout February, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye!